Poor girl thought it was a small winter mistake, never knowing a millionaire found love. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. It was the middle of December, a biting cold morning in New York City, with snowflakes falling lazily from the gray sky, blanketing the streets and turning everything into a winter wonderland. Emma Brooks, bundled up in her second-hand coat, hurried down the sidewalk, her breath visible in the frigid air. She clutched her purse tightly, a mixture of nerves and determination in her chest. Emma had promised her best friend Jenny she would go through with the blind date, even though every step felt like a monumental leap outside her comfort zone. She hadn't been on a date in years, not since life had gotten so complicated. Bills piled up, rent was overdue, and her dreams of opening an art studio seemed further away than ever. The restaurant she had been directed to was a fancy spot in the city, a far cry from the small diner she worked at. She paused outside, taking a deep breath before stepping inside. The warmth hit her like a wave, and the soft clink of silverware and the hum of conversation filled the space. She looked around, scanning the tables, feeling like a fish out of water. Table 7, she whispered to herself. Her fingers trembled slightly as she held the menu, but she pushed forward, her heels clicking against the marble floor. At the back of the room, she spotted a man sitting alone at a table by the window, his dark hair neatly styled, a sleek black jacket and dress shirt contrasting sharply with her worn second-hand dress. He was engrossed in his phone, not looking up as she approached. Her heart raced. This must be him, she thought. Taking a deep breath, she approached the table. Hi, you must be Kevin. I'm Emma. Nice to meet you. The man looked up at her, his eyes widening slightly, clearly taken aback by her sudden appearance. He blinked, then quickly adjusted his posture. Hi, Emma, he said, his voice a bit hoarse. There was a brief, awkward pause, and Emma misread it as nervousness. She took her seat across from him, offering a bright smile. I know this is awkward. Blind dates are always weird, right? Jenny told me you might be a little shy. So don't worry, I can talk enough for both of us. The man opened his mouth to speak, but hesitated. His eyes flickered toward his phone, where a message notification had just popped up. Emma, oblivious to his hesitation, continued. I mean, it's funny, right? Blind dates, setting you up with someone you've never met. Jenny's been trying to set me up with you for months, but I've been so busy with work, you know. The man cleared his throat, still unsure how to respond. Right? Blind dates, something else, he murmured, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his lips. Emma, glad he was playing along, relaxed. The conversation flowed easily from there, Emma talking about her job as a waitress, how difficult it was to make ends meet, and her dream of one day opening her own art studio. She shared stories of her struggles, trying to balance her dreams with the reality of living paycheck to paycheck. The man, whose name, she thought, was Kevin, listened intently, his expression softening as she spoke. She didn't realize it at the time, but it was this genuine conversation that made him feel something he hadn't in years: curiosity. She was so different from the polished women he usually met. There was no pretense, no facade, just raw honesty. Emma kept talking, nervously fiddling with her napkin. So what do you do, Kevin? You know, Jenny said you work in tech. Like, coding and apps and stuff, she asked, trying to break the silence. He paused before answering. Something like that, he said vaguely, his eyes briefly flicking down to his phone. Emma smiled, completely unaware of how much she had misread the situation. She continued, Well, that's cool. I'm terrible with computers, so I won't be asking you to help me with apps anytime soon. The man, Kevin, smiled again, this time with a little more warmth, but his mind was elsewhere. The ping of a message interrupted the moment, and Emma's phone buzzed in her bag. She quickly pulled it out, scanning. The text from Jenny. Hey Emma, where are you? I'm at table 7. Looking forward to meeting you, Kevin. Emma's stomach sank. She looked up, suddenly embarrassed. Oh my God, she muttered, her face turning red. You're not Kevin, are you? The man, Kevin, stared at her, his mouth slightly open. A flicker of guilt crossed his eyes, but before he could explain, She bolted from the table, mumbling an apology, feeling her cheeks burn. She rushed out of the restaurant, ignoring the man's attempt to call her back. Emma's heart pounded as she stepped into the cold night air, a mix of embarrassment and regret swirling in her chest. The moment she thought she could never forget, she couldn't help but wonder who the man was, and why, despite the awkwardness, she felt so drawn to him. Emma could not stop replaying the events of the night in her mind. Her cheeks were still burning with embarrassment, and her heart was racing with confusion. She had never made such a mistake before, but the man at the restaurant, Kevin, had seemed so genuine. Yet, he wasn't Kevin at all. She kept telling herself it was just a silly mistake. It wasn't like it had ruined her life. But why did it feel so important? Why did it feel like something had shifted in her world in just that brief interaction? Back at home, she flopped down onto her couch, her worn-out shoes still on her feet. She picked up her phone, hoping the distraction of a text message might calm her nerves. But there was nothing, just the usual empty silence. A moment later, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Jenny. "Emma, don't worry. It happens to the best of us. Just make sure you actually get to meet Kevin next time." Emma smiled weakly at the screen. Jenny's words were comforting, but they didn't ease the tension in her chest. She needed to do something, anything, to distract herself from the memory of that awkward dinner. A few hours later, while sitting in the small coffee shop near her apartment, Emma looked up from her cup to see a familiar face entering the door. Her heart skipped a beat. It was the man from the restaurant. He stood in the doorway for a moment, scanning the room. When his eyes met hers, he froze. Emma immediately lowered her gaze, feeling the heat rise in her cheeks again. Of all the places he could have gone, of course, he had to walk into the same coffee shop. She tried to ignore him, focusing on the steam rising from her coffee. But he walked up to her table, his footsteps echoing too loudly in her ears. "Hey," he said, his voice unexpectedly soft. "I hope you don't mind me interrupting. I wanted to apologize for earlier. I didn't mean to make things awkward." Emma looked up, her eyes wide with surprise. She had expected him to just leave her alone. But there he was, standing awkwardly beside her, offering a sincere smile. It's okay," Emma stammered. "I was the one who ran out of there like a lunatic." He chuckled lightly, pulling out the chair across from her and sitting down without waiting for her permission. "No, really. I didn't explain myself properly. I should have said something earlier." He leaned forward slightly. "I wasn't Kevin. I'm Liam. I guess you can say I was kind of in disguise." Emma blinked, unsure if she had heard him correctly. "Disguise?" she repeated. Liam smiled. "Not really a disguise, I guess. I just didn't want to be recognized, you know? Sometimes I just want to experience life without all the expectations." Emma's mind was racing. This man, Liam, wasn't just a regular guy. She could tell from his demeanor, his calm confidence, that he was someone important. And yet, he was sitting here, talking to her, as if it was the most natural thing in the world. He wasn't bothered by her mess-ups or her nerves. In fact, he seemed intrigued. "You're a millionaire, aren't you?" she blurted out before she could stop herself. Liam laughed softly. "I guess you could say that. But it's not what defines me. I've built my company from the ground up, and sometimes, I just want to see what it's like to be treated like a regular person." Emma felt a rush of disbelief. She had no idea what to say. Liam, the man she had thought was just some guy at a restaurant, was a millionaire CEO. He didn't seem like one, though. He wasn't flashy or boastful. He was humble, kind even. But still, a part of Emma wanted to shrink away. She wasn't sure if she should be angry or relieved. Was this some kind of joke? "I know it sounds crazy," Liam continued, his voice gentle. "But I wanted to get to know you, Emma. Really get to know you." His words made Emma's head spin. She had no idea what was happening. The man she had awkwardly met earlier, the one she had mistaken for someone else, was now sitting across from her, apologizing for something she hadn't even expected an apology for. He wasn't just a millionaire. He was someone who cared enough to find her again. But why? Was he just trying to make her feel better about the awkward moment? Or was there something more? "Why me?" she finally asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam paused, studying her for a long moment. "Because you're different," he said simply. "I haven't met anyone like you before. And I think you deserve a chance to see that not everything in life is as complicated as it seems." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She didn't know what to make of it, but she couldn't deny the connection she felt. even after all the chaos of their first encounter. Maybe, just maybe, this was the start of something more than either of them had expected. As Emma sat across from Liam, the reality of the situation began to settle in. Her heart was still racing, but this time it wasn't from embarrassment. She felt something else, something she hadn't expected: curiosity. The man who had once seemed like a random stranger was now someone completely different in her eyes. He wasn't just a CEO or a millionaire. He was someone who saw her, really saw her. And for the first time in a long while, she felt like she mattered. As they talked over coffee, the conversation flowed easily. Emma told him about her passion for art, how she had been sketching since she was a child, but her dreams had always been pushed aside to make ends meet. She shared her struggles with her job, the endless cycle of working long hours just to get by, and how she had always dreamed of having her own gallery, but had no idea where to start. Liam listened intently, his gaze never wavering from her. He asked questions, not about her past or what she had accomplished, but about what she wanted, what she hoped for in the future. Emma found herself opening up to him in ways she hadn't with anyone in years. She told him about the little park where she used to go to sketch, the way the colors of the trees inspired her work, and how she always wanted to paint something that made people feel something deep inside. When she finished, there was a long pause. Liam leaned back in his chair, his eyes thoughtful. "You know," he said slowly, "you're incredible. You've got this fire inside you, Emma. Don't let it go out." His words hit her like a wave, and for a moment, she didn't know how to respond. "I don't know how to make it happen," she admitted. "I don't have the resources, the connections. Everything I've tried hasn't worked." Liam looked at her with a quiet intensity. "That's where I come in," he said, his voice firm. "I can help you make it happen." Emma stared at him, unsure if she had heard him right. "Help me. I know a lot of people in the art world," he explained. "I can help you get your work in front of the right people. You just need to take the first step." Emma's mind was racing. Could this be real? Was Liam offering to help her because he saw something in her work, or was it just another act of kindness? She had heard offers like this before, from people who wanted something in return. But something about Liam's sincerity made her want to believe him. "Why are you doing this?" she asked softly. Liam shrugged. "Because I believe in you. You've got something special, and you shouldn't have to hide it anymore. You deserve a chance to show the world what you can do." Emma's heart fluttered, and for the first time in what felt like forever, she allowed herself to believe that something good could happen. She had been living her life in survival mode for so long, but now, for the first time, she felt like there was hope. She felt like maybe she could be more than just a waitress, more than someone struggling to get by. Maybe, just maybe, she could be the artist she had always dreamed of being. "Thank you," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You don't have to do this." Liam smiled, a warm, genuine smile. "I want to. You deserve it." The next few weeks flew by in a blur. Liam helped Emma organize her first art show. He introduced her to people in the industry, people who were genuinely interested in her work. He didn't just help her with the logistics. He believed in her, and that belief gave her the strength to push through her doubts. Emma worked tirelessly, putting together a collection of her best pieces, each one a reflection of the passion and emotion she had poured into her art for years. The night of the show, she stood nervously at the entrance, greeting the guests as they arrived. It was everything she had dreamed of, but it also felt surreal. As the night wore on, people began to take notice of her work. Her paintings spoke to them, stirred something deep inside them, just as she had always hoped. At the end of the night, she sold her first piece. It wasn't just the money that mattered, though. It was the validation, the sense that she had finally taken control of her future. As she looked around the room, she saw Liam standing by the entrance, watching her with a proud smile. He had kept his word. He had given her a chance, and she had made the most of it. Emma couldn't believe how far she had come in such a short time. But even more surprising was the way her feelings for Liam had grown. He wasn't just a mentor to her anymore. He was someone she cared about deeply. And as the night came to an end, she found herself wondering what might happen next, wondering if there could be more to their relationship than just business. The days following Emma's art show were a whirlwind. It felt as though everything had changed overnight, but still, a part of her couldn't shake the uncertainty that lingered in her heart. The show had been a success, yes, but what did it really mean? Was it just a stroke of luck, or had she truly earned it? Liam's support had given her the confidence to step into the spotlight. but now she wondered if she could keep up with the life he had opened up to her. She couldn't stop thinking about him, about the way he had believed in her from the start, even when she hadn't believed in herself. He wasn't just some millionaire CEO offering help out of pity. He had been genuine. But the more she thought about their growing connection, the more complicated it became. What was this between them? Was it just business, or was it something more? Emma found herself questioning her feelings. Liam had been there for her when no one else had, guiding her, showing her a world she had only ever dreamed of. But did he feel the same way? Was there room for love in their relationship, or was it just mentorship, pure and simple? One evening, after a long day at work, Emma found herself standing in front of her small apartment building, the weight of her thoughts heavy on her shoulders. The city was quiet, the streets illuminated only by the soft glow of streetlights. She had been waiting for a text from Liam all day, hoping for a sign that he was thinking about her, but nothing had come through. She sighed and started to climb the stairs to her apartment when she heard footsteps behind her. She turned, her heart skipping a beat. It was Liam. He had this way of showing up when she least expected it, like he had some sort of radar for her moments of doubt. "Hey," he said with a small, reassuring smile. "I was hoping I'd find you here." Emma blinked, surprised by his sudden appearance. "Liam, what are you doing here?" He shrugged, a little sheepishly. "I wanted to talk. I've been thinking about you, about everything, actually." Emma's heart raced. "About what?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. He took a step closer, his eyes sincere. "About us," he said, his voice soft but firm. "I know we've only known each other for a short time, but there's something about you that, I don't know. It's different. You're different, and I can't ignore it anymore." Emma felt her pulse quicken. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? "Liam," she began, her voice shaking slightly. "I don't know what to say. I'm still figuring things out. You've done so much for me already. I don't want to." "You don't have to say anything," Liam interrupted gently. "I just wanted you to know how I feel. I care about you, Emma, more than I've let on." The words hung in the air between them, and for a moment, everything else faded away. Emma's mind raced. She wanted to say something, to tell him how she felt, but the words caught in her throat. She had spent so long guarding herself, afraid to trust anyone with her heart. But Liam, he was different. He had shown her kindness when she least expected it. He had given her the chance she needed to build her dreams. And now, he was showing her something even more precious, his vulnerability. Emma finally found her voice. "I care about you too, Liam," she said quietly. I don't want to rush things. I don't want to mess this up." Liam reached out and took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "We don't have to rush," he said softly. "I just want to see where this goes, with you. No pressure. Just us, figuring it out together." Emma smiled, a small but genuine smile. For the first time in a long while, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. Maybe she didn't have all the answers yet, but one thing was clear. Liam was here, and he was real. And for the first time, she allowed herself to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could build something beautiful together. As they stood there, hand in hand, Emma realized that this wasn't just about art or success. It was about finding someone who truly understood her, someone who believed in her even when she couldn't believe in herself. And for that, she was grateful. Emma couldn't believe how much had changed in just a few short weeks. After their conversation that night, everything had felt so new, so raw. She and Liam had spent more time together, exploring the city, talking about everything from their hopes and dreams to the everyday struggles that kept them both grounded. The chemistry between them was undeniable, but so was the feeling of uncertainty. As much as she wanted to dive headfirst into the relationship, Emma couldn't shake the fear that it might not last. Liam was everything she had ever dreamed of in a partner. Kind, supportive, and undeniably attractive. But he was also a millionaire, a successful businessman with an entire world at his fingertips. She was just a waitress who had only recently found her footing in the art world. Could they really make this work? But every time she looked into his eyes, all her doubts seemed to fade away. Liam had never treated her like she was less than anyone else. He never made her feel like the life she had built was anything but impressive. He saw her for who she was, not for what she had or didn't have. One evening, after a long day of working at the restaurant and then working on her art, Emma found herself waiting for Liam at a park near her apartment. They had agreed to meet there. As the weather had turned warmer, and the park was perfect for a quiet walk. When Liam arrived, she was taken aback by how effortlessly handsome he looked, dressed casually yet perfectly put together. He walked up to her with a smile, his eyes lighting up when he saw her. "Hey," he greeted softly, pulling her into a gentle hug. Emma smiled, feeling the warmth of his embrace, and for a moment, she forgot all her fears. "Hey yourself," she replied, pulling back just enough to look at him. "How was your day?" Liam asked as they began walking slowly through the park, the cool evening breeze rustling the leaves above them. "It was good," Emma said, her voice thoughtful. "Busy but good. I'm working on some new pieces, and I think they're finally starting to come together." Liam nodded, clearly pleased. "That's great. I'm so proud of you, Emma. You've come so far in such a short time." His words made her heart swell with warmth, but at the same time, she felt a pang of doubt. "I still have a long way to go," she said, looking down at the ground. "There's so much more I want to do, but sometimes it just feels like it's all out of reach." Liam gently took her hand, stopping her in her tracks. He turned her to face him, lifting her chin so their eyes met. "You're already doing it, Emma. You've already come so far, and you have everything you need to go even further. The only thing standing in your way is your own doubts, and I'm here to help you with that." His words hit her like a wave, and for the first time in a long time, she let herself truly believe in herself. She had been so caught up in her fears that she hadn't realized how far she had come. With Liam by her side, she had a chance. No, she had the opportunity to make her dreams a reality. As they continued walking, Emma felt the weight of the world lift off her shoulders. She no longer felt like she was carrying the burden of her past struggles alone. She had Liam, and with him, she had the support, the love, and the belief that she could achieve anything. When they reached a bench by the lake, Liam sat down first, pulling her gently beside him. The evening was calm, the only sounds the soft rustling of the leaves and the distant hum of the city. They sat in silence for a moment, just enjoying each other's presence. Emma rested her head on his shoulder, feeling at peace for the first time in what felt like forever. After a few moments, she looked up at him, her heart full of gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything. For believing in me when I couldn't believe in myself." Liam turned his head to meet her gaze, his expression soft and sincere. "Emma, you don't need to thank me," he said, his voice low and gentle. "You've always had it in you. I'm just lucky to be here with you while you realize how amazing you really are." Emma smiled, her heart full. "You're amazing too," she said softly. "You know that, right?" Liam chuckled, the sound warm and genuine. "I do now," he replied, his hand brushing a strand of hair away from her face. "And I'm so grateful that I get to be part of your journey." As they sat together, watching the sun set over the lake, Emma realized that, for the first time in her life, she was no longer afraid of what the future held. She had Liam by her side, and with him, anything was possible. The weeks flew by in a blur of new beginnings. Emma's art was flourishing, and with Liam's support, her dream of owning her own gallery was beginning to feel like a reality. But as her success grew, so did her feelings for him. There was no denying the chemistry between them, but Emma couldn't ignore the nagging voice in the back of her mind. Was this just a fleeting moment, or could something real come out of this? She had always been cautious about love, afraid of being hurt again. But with Liam, it felt different. He had never treated her like anyone else. He saw her, truly saw her, and it was this connection that kept her coming back for more. One evening, after a particularly busy day of organizing her latest show, Emma found herself sitting in her small studio, surrounded by canvases and scattered paintbrushes. Her mind was racing, trying to keep up with all the thoughts that seemed to fill every inch of her brain. It was as if everything in her life had shifted so quickly that she could hardly keep up. Her phone buzzed on the table, pulling her from her thoughts. She reached for it, hoping it was a message from Liam. And it was, "Hey, I was thinking about you. How about dinner tonight? I miss seeing you." Emma's heart skipped a beat. She smiled, typing a quick reply, "I miss you too. Dinner sounds perfect." As she sent the message, she felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had no idea what the future held, but she was starting to believe in the possibility of it. A few hours later, Liam arrived at her studio, looking just as handsome as ever in a casual button-up shirt and jeans. He gave her a soft smile when he walked in, his eyes lighting up when they met hers. You look beautiful, he said, his voice soft and sincere. Emma felt her cheeks flush. Thank you, she whispered, stepping toward him. I've been thinking about you too. Liam walked over and took her hand, leading her out of the studio and toward the door. I hope you don't mind, but I've been planning something for us. Something special. His words made her heart flutter with anticipation. What is it? She asked, her voice filled with curiosity. He just smiled and shook his head. It's a surprise. You'll see soon enough. They stepped out into the cool evening air, the city lights casting a soft glow on the streets. As they walked down the sidewalk, Liam squeezed her hand gently. I've been thinking a lot about us, he said quietly. About how much you've changed my life since I met you. I know we've only known each other for a short time, but I can't help but feel like I've known you forever. Emma stopped in her tracks, her heart pounding. Liam, she started, but he cut her off gently. I know you're scared. I know you're worried about what might happen, but I want you to know that I'm not going anywhere. I care about you more than you realize, Emma. I'm here for you, no matter what. His words hit her like a wave, and for a moment, she couldn't speak. All the doubts, all the fears that had been weighing on her for weeks seemed to melt away in that one moment. She had always kept her guard up, afraid of being hurt, but Liam had never given her a reason to doubt him. He had shown her nothing but kindness and love. And now, with his words, she felt like she could finally let herself believe in something real. I care about you too, Liam, she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. I'm just scared. I don't want to mess this up. Liam smiled and pulled her into a gentle hug. You're not going to mess anything up, Emma. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And so am I. They stood there for a few moments, wrapped in each other's arms, the world fading away. It felt like time had stopped, and for the first time in a long time, Emma felt completely at peace. As they pulled away, Liam looked into her eyes and smiled. Come on, he said, taking her hand again. There's something I want to show you. They continued walking, and Emma's heart swelled with hope. She didn't know what the future held, but for the first time, she was ready to face it, ready to take a chance on love. And with Liam by her side, she felt like she could conquer anything. The next few days were filled with a mixture of excitement and uncertainty. Emma felt a strange tension building inside her as she tried to process the words Liam had said to her. He had told her that he was in it for the long haul, that he cared about her deeply, but now she was faced with the reality of what that meant. Was she ready for a relationship with someone like Liam? A man who had so much more than she could ever dream of? Her mind raced as she struggled to find the balance between her growing feelings for him and the fear of getting too close. She had spent so long being independent, relying on herself to make it through, that the idea of depending on someone else, especially someone as influential as Liam, felt foreign. One evening, after finishing a late shift at the diner, Emma found herself standing outside her apartment, her thoughts consumed by the uncertainty that had been building for weeks. The night was cool, the city streets quiet, and the distant hum of the traffic below seemed like a faint echo in the background of her mind. Her phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her from her thoughts. It was a message from Liam. I've been thinking about us, it read. Let's talk. Can we meet? Emma's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected him to reach out so soon. She quickly replied, agreeing to meet at the small cafe down the street from her apartment. When she arrived, Liam was already there, sitting at a corner table with a cup of coffee in front of him. His expression was serious, but there was a warmth in his eyes that made Emma's heart flutter. As she sat down, he looked at her for a moment before speaking. I know things have been moving fast, he began, his voice steady but gentle. And I can see you're feeling a little overwhelmed. I want you to know that I'm not asking for anything from you. I just want to be with you, and I want to make sure you feel the same way. Emma felt her breath catch in her throat. It was like he had read her mind. She had been struggling with her feelings for him, torn between the desire to be with him and the fear of getting hurt. I don't know what to say, she said softly, looking down at the table. I like you, Liam. I do. But I'm scared. Scared of what this might mean. Scared of what I might be giving up. Liam reached across the table, gently taking her hand in his. Emma, you're not giving up anything. You're not giving up your dreams or your independence. You're just allowing yourself to let someone in. I want to be that person for you. Not to take anything from you, but to share something real. His words struck her deeply, and for the first time, she felt like she could let go of her fears. She had spent so long pushing people away, afraid of being vulnerable. But with Liam, it felt different. He wasn't asking for perfection. He wasn't asking for her to change. He was just asking for her to trust him. I want to try, Emma said, her voice trembling slightly. I want to let you in. But I need to know that you're not just doing this because you feel sorry for me. That you're not just helping me because I'm a project. Liam's eyes softened, and he squeezed her hand gently. I promise you, Emma, this is not about pity. This is about us. What we have, what we can build together. I care about you, not your circumstances. Emma's heart swelled with emotion. She had never had someone speak to her so openly, so honestly. It was as if a weight had been lifted from her shoulders. She felt free, free to be herself, free to let go of the past and embrace the future. I'm scared, she whispered, her voice barely above a whisper. But I want to be brave. Liam smiled, his expression full of warmth and tenderness. You already are, he said softly. And I'll be here with you, every step of the way. As they sat together, their hands intertwined, Emma realized that love wasn't about perfection. It wasn't about having everything figured out. It was about finding someone who would stand by you, even when the future was uncertain. And with Liam, she felt like she had finally found that person. She didn't have all the answers yet, but she knew one thing for sure. She was ready to take the leap. With him by her side, she felt like anything was possible. The weeks passed, and Emma's life seemed to be falling into place in a way she never thought possible. Her art was gaining more recognition, and with Liam's support, she had finally opened her own small gallery in the heart of the city. The opening night was everything she had dreamed of. People from the art world she had only read about showed up, and her paintings were displayed alongside works that had been admired for years. It was surreal, and yet, Emma couldn't help but feel an overwhelming sense of gratitude. She had come so far, and she owed so much of it to Liam. He had been there every step of the way, not only offering financial support, but also pushing her to believe in herself when she doubted her own worth. Their relationship had grown deeper, and despite her earlier fears, Emma was starting to realize that love wasn't something to be afraid of. It was something to embrace. She found herself spending more time with Liam, not just in business meetings or gallery events, but in quiet moments, long walks in the park, dinners at her apartment where they talked about everything and nothing at the same time. He had become her rock, the person she could turn to when the weight of the world felt too heavy. One evening, as they walked home from dinner, the air crisp with the scent of fall, Emma felt a familiar knot in her stomach. She had been feeling it for days, ever since her art had started to take off, ever since she had begun to see her dreams come true. It wasn't doubt, not exactly. It was fear. Fear of losing the life she had built. Fear that everything she had worked for would slip away. But tonight, as she walked beside Liam, it felt different. It felt like it was time to face that fear, to confront the emotions that had been holding her back. Liam seemed to sense it too. He slowed his pace, turning to her with a concerned look in his eyes. Emma, what's going on? You've been quiet tonight. She looked up at him, her heart racing. I've been thinking a lot, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm scared, Liam. Scared that I'm not strong enough to keep this up. Scared that I'll mess it all up. That I'll lose everything. Liam stopped walking, gently taking her hands in his. Emma, he said softly. I know this journey has been a roller coaster for you, but you've already proven how strong you are. You've worked so hard to get here, and you didn't do it alone. I'm proud of you, and you don't have to be scared. Not anymore. I'm here, every step of the way, and I'm not going anywhere. His words wrapped around her like a warm blanket, and for the first time in a long while, Emma let herself relax. She felt a tear slip down her cheek, but it wasn't from sadness. It was relief. Liam lifted his hand, gently wiping the tear away. You're allowed to feel scared, he said, his voice soothing. But you don't have to face it alone. We're a team, Emma, and we've got this. Emma nodded, her heart full of emotion. She had spent so long carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, afraid to lean on anyone, but with Liam by her side, she knew she didn't have to carry it alone anymore. They continued walking, side by side, the weight of the world no longer so heavy. As they reached her apartment, Emma felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that she wasn't alone, that the love and support Liam had given her were more than she could have ever hoped for. She had everything she needed to succeed, not just in her art, but in life. And with Liam beside her, she knew that anything was possible. That night, as they said goodnight, Emma felt a warmth in her heart that she had never felt before. She didn't need to have everything figured out. She just needed to trust herself and trust that with Liam, she could face anything the world had in store. And for the first time, she felt like the future was bright, filled with possibilities, and most importantly, filled with love. Months passed, and Emma's life felt like a dream that she never wanted to wake up from. Her gallery was thriving, her art was gaining attention, and most importantly, her relationship with Liam had blossomed into something deeper and more meaningful than she could have ever imagined. They were no longer just partners in business. They had become true partners in life. Each day with him was a reminder of how far she had come, how much she had grown, and how much she had learned to trust not only in him, but in herself. One evening, as they sat on the balcony of Liam's penthouse, watching the sunset over the city, Liam turned to Emma with a serious look in his eyes. "I've been thinking," he said, his voice quiet but filled with conviction. "About us, about everything we've built together. You've brought so much light into my life, Emma. I can't imagine my world without you in it." Emma looked at him, her heart fluttering. She had always felt the depth of his feelings for her, but hearing him say it out loud made everything feel even more real. "Liam," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Slightly. I feel the same way. You've changed my life, and I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me. But most of all, I'm just so grateful for the love you've shown me." Liam smiled, a soft and tender smile that made Emma's heart skip a beat. "I've been thinking a lot about the future," he continued. "About us, about what's next. I know we've been through a lot already, but I'm ready to take the next step with you. I want to build a life together, one that's filled with love, support, and everything we've both dreamed of." Emma's breath caught in her throat. She had never expected this moment to come so soon, but as she looked into Liam's eyes, she realized that she was ready too. "What do you mean by the next step?" she asked, her voice soft with anticipation. Liam took her hand gently, holding it with a tenderness that took her breath away. "I want you to know that you are the most important person in my life, Emma. I can't imagine a future without you by my side. So I'm asking you." He paused for a moment, his gaze never leaving hers. "Will you marry me?" Emma's heart skipped a beat, and she felt her world slowed down. The words echoed in her mind, each one sinking deeper into her heart. A mixture of emotions flooded her: surprise, joy, disbelief, but most of all, love. She had spent so much of her life guarding her heart, afraid to give it to anyone, but here she was, surrounded by everything she had ever wanted, with Liam by her side. "Yes," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. "Yes, I'll marry you." Liam's face lit up with a smile, so wide it seemed to light up the entire room. He pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly as if he never wanted to let go. "I love you, Emma," he said, his voice full of joy and relief. "I love you too, Liam," she replied, her voice trembling with happiness. The two of them stood there, wrapped in each other's arms, as the city continued to bustle around them. It felt like the world had stopped, leaving them in their own little bubble, where nothing else mattered but their love for each other. As the days passed, the reality of their engagement settled in. Emma couldn't believe how far she had come. From struggling to make ends meet to finding love and success, everything in her life had changed in ways she never thought possible. But through it all, one thing remained constant: Liam. He had been the one to help her find her way, to believe in her when she didn't believe in herself. And now, as they planned their future together, she knew that whatever came next, they would face it side by side. Their love had been tested in many ways, but it had only grown stronger. And as they stood together, looking toward the future, Emma knew that she had finally found the place where she belonged, right next to Liam, the man who had shown her what true love really meant. In this captivating tale of love, ambition, and personal growth, follow the journey of a woman who goes from struggling to make ends meet to discovering the power of love and self-belief. As she navigates her way through life, her chance encounter with a successful and kind-hearted millionaire sets her on a path to success she never imagined. In these millionaire stories, you'll witness the transformation of a woman who was once unsure of her future, learning to trust not only her talents, but also the love she has for herself. As their relationship blossoms, This millionaire story explores themes of love, vulnerability, and personal transformation, offering hope and inspiration. As the couple's bond deepens, the story evolves into a beautiful narrative of how a millionaire's kindness and support can change someone's life forever. Through their journey together, Emma's fears are slowly overcome as she realizes the power of love and hard work, proving that even in millionaire stories, success comes from believing in the right people. With every chapter, this story shows how dreams can come true and how love can create the foundation for a bright future. These millionaire stories aren't just about wealth. They are about personal growth, connection, and the heartwarming realization that true success is about more than money. Emma and Liam's story is a testament to how love and support can change everything, even when one starts from humble beginnings. Discover the joy, struggles, and triumphs in this beautiful tale that proves millionaire stories are more than just about wealth. They're about love, hope, and believing in each other.